Hello. Welcome to a sour beer video. This video is about making a sour beer. This is the 5th time, or going to be the 5th time, I have made this sour beer. Let me explain. This beer originated in June of 2016. I first made this beer. It was a sour black, or a black sour, if you will. Dark malt, turned out great, beautiful. I threw a bunch of dregs in there. Beechwood Propagation Series 128, Ladyface Valles Area, Libertine Wild IPA, My Brett Classinia IPA, My Brett meaning one I made, and a growler filled with lacto in it. I have not added anything to this in 4 years. Today is October 24th, 2020. So what happened after that first year? I bottled it in June of the next year. It was closer to like 11 months. Really close enough. So maybe like May. Made another beer. Sour Blond this time, or a blonde-based beer. I let that age. That was in June 2017, or I think May. That then aged for a full year. In June of 2018, I then did a Flanders-style inspired beer. Pulled it off, threw it right back on the dregs. That's what I did for all the other ones too. Pulled it off, back on the dregs, pulled it off, back on the dregs. What I did for the dregs before I continue was I would scoop out most of it, dump it, and leave maybe like a quarter of the dregs and dump the beer back on it. In June of 2019, I made another blonde-based beer, but I think I left a little bit at the bottom, and I just poured it back on the dregs. All the dregs. I didn't even take anything out. Just poured it right back on top. Today, as I said, is October 24th, 2020, and I just transfer the beer off. The base of this is going to be just 2-row, and I'm going to throw flour into it. Flour can have long dextrins into it, in it, and some strains like pediococcus and stuff can actually break it down. I'm going to mash high, try for 155 to 158 range. 1060 is probably my starting. No hops, no real water additions. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to pull from the tap with the carbon filter. It's just refilling. I'm just refilling. I mean, it's easy. I know when I started this 4 years ago, I was like, oh, it'll take forever. What if I mess it up? It's the only real big sour I've done, big meaning 3 gallons. And it's turned out great. And I've got 4 years of beer that I've enjoyed from it. So yeah, let's do it. Let's show some things. All right, I just transferred it off the 3 gallon. This is what's left. I have 2 more gallons I pulled off from this. The bottle, keg to play with, whatever. So this is what's left, and I'm gonna fill it hopefully all the way to the top here. Before we continue, I'm gonna throw some slurry of this into here before I top it off. Make sure the bugs and stuff kind of went back up again. I wanted to do it before I topped it off in case I couldn't fit any more into it. It's probably about half the slurry. All right, now let's fill to the top. All right, well, that's about it. That's very, very close. I undershot it by a fraction, but I think I can live with that. There probably will be some re-fermentation anyway, so a little headspace isn't bad. So I was able to get a little more from the kettle. Almost topped it off. Take a look. Could be a little sketchy because there might be some re-fermentation. Hopefully it doesn't get everywhere, but I think the last time this happened, I did the same thing and it got everywhere and I just cleaned it up and it was fine. So ideally, I'd ferment somewhere else, then transfer in like a CO2 environment or into a barrel. So let's fast forward however long. Last time I thought it would be like 2-3 months. It was a year and a half. So yeah, seeing as this is the 5th time of using this, I'm very curious to see if it changes or alters. Maybe I'll throw a couple more dregs in there. Who knows? All right, let's go to the next step. been a year and 2 months. It's been so long, I've had a child since this beer was brewed. Full disclosure, I did not add more dregs as I said I might. It's just been what it is. So before I even continue on, before I brew and refill, I gotta see how this tastes. There it is. Right there. Let's give it a taste. Smells fine. Tastes fine. That can be bottled. I think what I'm gonna do though, just for fun, is pull off 2 gallons of that 3 gallon that's in there. 1 gallon straight up as is. The other gallon, there is a tangerine tree really close by to me in some neighbor's yard. It's hanging all over. There's a million of those things on there. I'm gonna grab a couple, 2, 3, and throw it into a 1 gallon jug just to see what happens, just for fun. So I'm gonna do that now. There's so many. This is a neighbor's yard. I do feel a little weird. I guess I could knock on their door, but there's so many, they're not gonna miss like a pound of it, are they? No, we'll be fine. By the way, I live like from this tree, like right over there. The funny thing about that tree is I used it before to make what I was calling a yard beer, just trying to make a sour beer with whatever was in the neighborhood, but there was like 1 tangerine on it. So I got a lot more this time. Let's see what we got. That's all of them. And that comes out to 1.2 pounds. Pretty close. I think once I peel off all the skins, it'll be about a pound. And I like to do about a pound per gallon with fruit on average. So what I'm going to do is peel all these, puree it in a blender, and then pour that puree into a 1 gallon jug when I transfer off what it's on right now. Let's do that now. Something I like to do is put the puree in ahead of time. By the way, this is not sanitized. This is straight up just pureed, blended puree. I said this before, sometimes people put this in a freezer for like 2-3 weeks, maybe a month, to see if that kind of kills anything off it. I've been having pretty good luck just throwing fruit directly in. So I'm still doing it. Now I'm gonna rack the beer directly on top of it. Okay, there they are. I got a little headspace on this one because it probably will re-ferment. There's all the stuff in it, all the tangerines. And this one I'm just gonna bottle today if I have time, or first thing tomorrow. If I do it tomorrow, I'm gonna purge it with CO2, put an airlock on it for 1 more day. It should be okay on paper. Now I have 2 empty gallons to refill, which I'm gonna be doing today at the same time. That's convenient. So I'm gonna go right to the tasting unless there's a problem with this one, especially if it like ferments like crazy or mold grows or something, I'll show that. But let's hope the next clip is me at the tasting. I did it. Made it to the end. Let's taste these both. This is the, let's see. This is the regular. The one without tangerine. The tangerine one. The tangerine one, I think, already has a problem. Let's get right to it though. Carbonation sounded okay. Again, sour beer doesn't really have good head retention. It looks like it's pretty decently carbonated with all the bubbles in there. And this is the tangerine one. It's a little more carbonated than the other one. Tangerine, the unadulterated one. Interesting how much clearer this one is. I wonder, maybe the pectin in the fruit kind of dropped it all down, the heavy solids. Just a theory. All right, first the regular one. Nice beautiful acidity to that. Again, nice and fruity. This strain has such good fruit to it, it's crazy. A little more acidic than the other ones, than the previous ones that I made. I think I blended this too kind of recently in one of the versions. I could use a little bit of blending. I'm also getting a tad of Cheerio at the end. That is a sign of oxidation on tetrahydropyridine. And you can research about that more in the description below if you want. I'll throw a link in there. But it's just a touch. It's unfortunate. No, I was due for this to at some point probably get that a little bit of that off flavor. It's so minor though. The airlock did pop off at one point when I was moving stuff around. I think it was off for like a little bit, like maybe even 30 minutes before I discovered it. So that could be what happened. But it's so minor. Maybe I can recover it. Maybe I can harvest some of it and, you know, throw some more dregs in there and kind of get it back on track. Still a solid beer. Tangerine one. Smell on it is big, bold, beautiful tangerine. It's huge. Big waft of it. That amount was just beautiful for the smell. Based off the smell, I should say. Alright, the taste. I did taste this kegging, or bottling, I should say. And it tasted really weird. Let's see. Not as bad as I remember it, but it's still not great. It's very astringent, very astringent. And why that is because the seeds I left in when I was pureeing it. And as I was pureeing it, I was like, I should probably de-seed these because it could get really astringent doing keeping those in there. Thought I had enough tangerine juice maybe to override that. I was wrong. You've got to take those seeds out. It is labor intensive to do that, but tangerines are such a small fruit and seeds are pretty big. They feel like they're the size of like an orange seed. So all that mix in there, it doesn't work. Though I will say maybe an orange you might get away with it a bit, but it really can't hurt just to de-seed the big ones as much as possible. It's a little unfortunate because the smell is great and the taste is there, just right at the end. So they're somewhat drinkable. I might dump them. It was like 5 bottles. I have another batch going right now, so hopefully that doesn't get Cheerio. I might have to taste that along the way and adjust as needed. We'll see on that. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Does that have a Cheerio flavor to you?
No, it's tart.